Have you ever had a side hustle? A side gig you picked up for fun, or maybe to earn a little extra cash? Maybe you had a lemonade stand as a kid, or like me, were fully immersed in the world of theater and dance, where each experience ignited my passion for the spotlight. As we transition from those early experiences into the professional world, some side gigs evolve into real passions, and sometimes even lasting careers. I've always been so curious about these stories, especially the less conventional journeys that redefine what a career can look like. They remind us that success isn't always a straight path, and that the heart behind our hustle can lead us to unexpected and fulfilling destinations. I genuinely love exploring how other people's passions have shaped their careers. If you're into that too, join me, Layla Palmer, as I chat with a captivating lineup of guests from various industries to uncover how they went from heart to hustle. Some families build legacies in real estate or fashion, but this one is building an empire in dentistry. Today's guests, Dr. Bobby Johnson and Dr. Stevie Roberts, didn't just choose these careers, they were born into them. Coming from families of dentists, they've spent their entire lives immersed in the world of patient care, running successful practices, and continuing a multi-generational tradition of excellence in the field. Now, as both life partners and business partners, Stevie and Bobby are expanding their family legacy beyond the dental chair with Duo Toothpaste, an innovative, environmentally conscious tablet toothpaste designed to revolutionize oral care. In this episode, we'll explore how they transformed their expertise into a brand, what it takes to build a business alongside your partner, and how they're balancing entrepreneurship and clinical work to shape the future of their family's dental legacy.
My name's Bobby Johnson, and I am a oral surgeon, trained as a dentist first, and I met Stevie in dental school.
I'm Stevie Roberts. I am a general dentist. I have a practice in Kirkland, Washington.
And we're married.
Yeah.
That's the key part. So we met at Tufts Dental School and got married a couple years after. I was in a residency for oral surgery that was a 6-year program here in Seattle. So doing that for a while. And Stevie's been running her own practice, Dentistry, for just as long. Mm-hmm. And during the residency training, I had some time in medical school as part of my training, and we started Duo Toothpaste, which is a tablet toothpaste company we still run today.
Well, before we talk about Duo, why don't we talk about both of your decisions to go into dentistry? Give a little bit of some backstory about how you chose the career path.
Sure. We both grew up around dentistry. So I am the daughter of 2 dentists, and they practiced out of our house, actually. So that's how I was exposed to dentistry early on. They're both general dentists. They own their practice. And I saw how lifestyle-wise, it was just a great decision for them. And I have followed in those footsteps.
When Stevie and I first started hanging out and I first visited her house, it was such a crazy thing because I also grew up around dentistry too, but a very different model. And her telling me, yeah, my parents don't set their alarm clock. They just wake up to the staff arriving in the morning and opening up the office, which is just a crazy thing to me, but that's really how it worked. The people start arriving, and the first 2 floors of their house is the dental office, and then their parents just make their way downstairs and off they start their day, which is a pretty cool model of when you talk about work-life balance, when it's all one like that.
For sure.
But my experience is a little different, but very similar. I'm a 3rd-generation dentist. My grandpa, dad, and uncle, all dentists. And so very much grew up around it. As soon as I could drive and get my way down to the office, I'd kind of work in the front desk as a summer job, and then got more involved with it. And yeah, dentistry is just a very beautiful thing where you can provide for patients and also run your own business and control your own life, and also just a cool skill set to try to become master of over your career.
Well, you mentioned work-life balance, and I think it's a very interesting conversation to have, at least with the 2 of you, because Stevie, you have the experience of basically growing up around what is now your profession, having your parents both be dentists, and live in their practice and have it also be their home. So I'm curious if you, growing up, observed the challenge of the work-life balance because you don't leave the office.
I mean, I definitely took a lot of notes from my parents. I really appreciated how, because like the office was in our home, we really became very close with the whole team that worked there. So that really became an extension of our family and really is still to this day like part of my family. So that's something I certainly wanted to emulate when I started my business. I thought it was really important to like invest in my staff, find a great team, make sure we all kind of got along, and then also get along outside of work, which helps a lot. I do not live in my practice. I like the physical barrier. Like my commute's like 15 minutes. I think it's the perfect amount of time to kind of get ready for my day and wind down from my day. I guess one difference also, my parents were both general dentists and owned their practice together. So like that definitely could lead to a lot of dinner table conversations in front of my sister and I that we had no idea what was really going on. We don't do that as much. Like I'm a general dentist, he specializes. So what we kind of talk about instead at the dinner table isn't so much like the nitty gritty day-to-day stuff we do, which we can talk about. And I think that helps a lot in dentistry specifically. It's a weird profession. So to be able to come home and talk to your partner about like the weird things that happen during the day, I think is super important and honestly like very important to the work-life balance, I think.
Yeah, but it is nice. Like we have separate experiences during our clinical workday. And so we don't share that, but we can come home and share those. If you know exactly what we're talking about, or, you know, with just a few words exchanged, kind of understand what the other person's going through and also be able to just talk to each other and brainstorm through some of it or just troubleshoot or just say, yeah, that sucks. Been there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice, like talking the same language, I guess.
Yeah.
But we try to focus not so much on like the day-to-days of our like dental experiences. And that's actually kind of how we came up with Duo. We were like, how can we do something else that's not the clinical aspect that we both love? Like I wouldn't take that away. That kind of keeps me going. I love interacting with patients, but we were like, what else can we do that we can actually work on together that still involves the dental degree that we got together, but isn't kind of what we're focusing on our day-to-day when we're treating patients.
Stevie and Bobby may share a profession, but launching Duo Toothpaste together brought an entirely new layer to their partnership. I asked them what it was like to navigate this hands-on, trial-and-error process as a couple, and how they balanced professional expertise with personal preferences while bringing Duo to life. It's probably a rewarding feeling to get to come home at the end of your day, talk to your partner, and have them really actually understand what you're talking about. You know, I think that's a big advantage, especially now being in business together on a product that is backed by dentistry. You know, when it came to launching Duo, what was that experience like working together? Talk about what that experience was like.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. A lot of what started with Duo was just doing a lot of research first. So that was just kind of computer work and a few months of just really trying to reverse engineer, you know, what the best toothpaste is, what's in current toothpaste, all that kind of stuff. So for a lot of that, it was pretty objective, honestly. A lot of that information was pretty clear, though, like what the best ingredients are, what ingredients aren't necessary or even harmful. So that part was a little easier to align on. And it was interesting because some of the information that we were finding was not necessarily what we learned in dental school. So we could kind of, I guess, check with each other like, wait, is this really how we learned it? Or you know, what was that point in that lecture 5 years ago? But then after the research came the part of actually figuring out how to make the tablets themselves, which involved a lot of time just really in our garage with a pill press, just putting them together. And then it was more of a subjective experience of, you know, how does this feel in your mouth? How's the foaming? What's the flavor like? And that was probably the most contentious part of the whole experience because, you know, things I might like, she didn't like. We agreed on all the science-based stuff, but then there's a lot of just subjective stuff when you're building a product.
Yeah, there wasn't much back and forth in terms of disagreeing on what we wanted to put in the product and keep out of the product. Like that was clear. But then taste is a really tricky thing. Like I have my own taste, he has his own taste, and then we're trying to make something that's going to appeal to the masses. So that was definitely like the most tense we got, if you will. Just having like 12 different tablets with, I mean, and I'm legitimately talking about like the types of mint. We have 3 different mints in the base one: spearmint, wintergreen, and peppermint, obviously. So like just the distribution of these 3 mints, I can't tell you how many different tablets we tried and strongly disagreed on which we liked more. But eventually we got our base tablet that we're very, very proud of and tastes delicious.
Yes, it does. Duo Toothpaste is a multifaceted product with added vitamins, supplements, and eco-friendly packaging, all while introducing consumers to tablet toothpaste. Let's hear how this dental duo is communicating its benefits and making the switch easier for customers.
Honestly, that's probably been one of the biggest challenges with Duo that we're still working through as a company. I mean, there's more people involved than just us, but we're fortunate that we have all these value adds. It's tablet toothpaste, which means it comes in a glass bottle, so it's plastic free. We added vitamins and supplements like vitamin D to some of them. We have different flavors. It's made by dentists. It's got a different mechanism of foaming. So many things that you want to just launch out to all the consumer, but you pretty much bury it if you pick more than 1 or 2 things, because people just aren't prepared in their aimless scrolling on Instagram or wherever they first encounter Duo to decipher all that information. So it's something we're still testing with, marketing and stuff to see, is it the flavor that most resonates with people? Like, we're just talking about with different mints or, some other different flavors, or do people like the eco-conscious part of it? And to be completely honest, we still don't know, and it depends what demographic we're talking to. And we've heard this from many other founders too, as we go through this journey is, all these things that you're excited about your product, but if you got to sideline a bunch of them as far as the marketing and just, see what resonates with the people more than anything.
Yeah, I think early on we knew that there were like a lot of paradigm shifts that we were asking people to understand. So there was like a huge educational barriers, kind of 3 main camps, honestly, that Bobby's kind of been describing me before. Like, we are plastic free. It is good for the environment. That's a broader category, right? Like, people are doing it with laundry detergents and dishwashing detergents, like plastic free, everything. Then we're asking you to chew your toothpaste, which is crazy. There is a tablet, toothpaste following for sure, and it's growing a lot. But early on, really, most people hadn't heard of doing that and how to brush your teeth. And then we're adding stuff to it. And we're telling you don't have to swallow it. We're adding these vitamins and supplements that are just going to absorb while you brush your teeth. So like, we're still figuring out what exactly to focus on. And the focus shifts depending on who we're talking to. But I think what was really hard at first is we wanted to focus on all of them. And what we've learned is that we really have to almost focus on one at a time, kind of depending on the audience.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, Layla, where there are some products that are fun to show on Instagram or whatever it might be, whether it's a new coolest golf club or pair of skis or something, but brushing your teeth isn't necessarily the sexiest thing in the world. So that's another barrier that fits in with some of the challenges that are fun to work through. I mean, they're cool problems and they're problems for a reason.
I'm sure it makes for a very interesting conversation, when you're talking about marketing. Like, what's going to reel somebody in the first 5 seconds so they don't scroll? Or,
Totally.
What platform are we, marketing on? What demographic is that platform most likely going to reach? And I think Stevie brought up a great point. Like, you really do have to focus on one at a time. What is the number one value proposition that for like a general customer, you know nothing about them, you don't know anything about what their interests are, what they like, if they're more focused on a low price or convenience or whatever, what is the general value proposition that you give somebody? Like, you should pick this toothpaste because X.
It's a plastic-free tablet toothpaste with an effective fluoride alternative.
Yeah, so I think sustainability, and then we as dentists kind of focus on the fluoride-free alternative that we use that's been proven to be as effective as fluoride. No shade on fluoride, but there happens to be something that works just as well, and so we use that instead because there's a lot of people who don't want fluoride in their toothpaste.
Bobby and Stevie knew that successfully launching Duo meant surrounding themselves with the right people. Their team includes married couples, college friends, and family members, each bringing unique skills to the table. It takes a village to build a brand. Let's hear how they built theirs.
I'm from Seattle originally, and Stevie's from Philly. And one of her best friends from college and at Penn was Sam. She grew up in New York and happened to marry a guy, Nick, that was also from Seattle. I didn't know him before this, but we were already, because of those connections, friends. So the whole idea for Duo kind of came as a group. And then after Stevie and I actually starting on the product development stuff, it was really Nick and Sam that took over the branding and the operations and the company. And Nick very quickly started working on Duo full time. I mean, we both have clinical practices, and at the time I was still in residency, but you really do need someone pretty quickly full time. And so once we had a viable product, they really went to work on the business side of it. And then since then, we've had another co-founder, Mike, join the team that's been an invaluable asset as well. So we have a really well-rounded team. I mean, Stevie and I bring the dental side to it. And then Nick and Sam had lots of experience in law and creative and running product. And then now Mike also with some law background, but mostly finance. So just having a really dynamic team behind you, and we're all friends, which makes it really fun. So Mike and Nick are full-time right now, and we work closely with them building the brand still.
Weekly meetings. And then I think it helps that we all kind of have our own role. Like Bobby is the product. Like I'll help with nuances of the product, but like he owns the product in full. I'm like the dental side. I'm the one who's like interacting with patients who brush their teeth and trying to, get them to brush more was really what I wanted from this. Like, how do I make this a better experience for you? You got to do it like every day for 2 minutes a day. So let's make it better. And then Sam early on really was like the brains behind the brand. We all had input for sure, but she really helped create the brand. And then Nick was doing everything to kind of form the company, keep the company going, dealing with all the contractors. Fundraising, hugely important.
Nick was, he would come back to Seattle or wherever he was traveling. He'd travel with this bag that just had Duo product and like his labels printer and everything. So, because we didn't have fulfillment at that time. So no matter where he was in the world, he could just set up shop and
ship it out.
Yeah, well, that sounds so cool. Going into business with your friends, a lot of people frown upon it. You two seem to have a success story with that. A lot of my listeners are creatives, aspiring entrepreneurs, and people who just are looking to further their careers. So what would you say to aspiring entrepreneurs or people who are already in business with their friends about how you can navigate that professional working relationship and then friendship that you cherish and want to, not be broken apart by maybe a disagreement over, something that happens during the workday?
Yeah, look, I don't want to sugarcoat anything because it's not easy. Like, it's hard, especially early on. We had 2 married couples. So there's like relationships within that you have to kind of navigate. And then we're all friends on top of it. Again, I think kind of having clear strengths, like we each had our own strength and something to bring to the table that was like pretty unique. Really early on, like we had a bunch of mood boards and everything. And what do we want to represent as a company? And it was super important, like always on there, we're like, we want to be a fun company. We want this to be fun. Like, we are friends. This should be fun. So we would try to check in, like if we're all on edge and stuff, like this isn't fun right now. Like, what are we doing wrong? Let's get back to that. And it's not all like roses. It's not. It's tricky. I think like any relationship, communication's super important. So as much as you can keep those lines open, it's really important because we might not agree, but as long as like we're all talking about it and we feel comfortable expressing that we might not agree, that's all you can ask for in life. Like, you're not going to get your way every time, but as long as you feel heard, I think that's the most important part.
It strengthened all of our relationships a lot. But like Stevie said, there were a few calls where we had to find the fun again in Duo, but that's okay because that was a learning experience too. Especially at the beginning, there's so much like creative energy and like the startup thing that's really fun to work on, building the product, building a brand. We had these duo offsites where we'd all get together and just like have a fun weekend, but it's full of sticky notes and whiteboards and kind of felt like out of a movie where you're just working through the whole thing. But then comes the reality of there's just a lot of work to be done, and a lot of it's not fun, or it's super time consuming and monotonous. And especially in the beginning, you have a small team. There's just, you try to delegate things to things that people want to work on, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be the stuff that no one wants to do. So expectation setting, like, it just is going to take a lot longer and be a lot harder than you ever expected. That's for sure.
It's a mentality. Like, we went into this as friends. We knew we were building a company as friends early on. And even now, like, we've worked with as many people that we already knew as we could. Like, we worked with my very good friend from growing up, Danny. She did all of the design for Duo, like all of the kind of brand creation, expression, all of that. We worked with her. We engaged with cousins and friends to kind of help us with the social. And that's just kind of like part of our mantra. Like, we are a friend family business, and we want to kind of bring in as many people as we can. I think if you go into it like this is kind of our model, we want to work with people we know and we like, knowing that it's not always going to work out, but we've been super lucky.
Duo is growing, and Stevie and Bobby aren't slowing down. I asked them what's next for the brand and what we can look forward to in the future. It's been a good few years from concept to delivery now, so what's ahead for the future? I mean, where is Duo now? Do you guys have anything that we can look forward to in the future, or just like things that you are hoping to see with the success of Duo moving forward?
One thing that's been really cool, so we're getting a lot of traction and we're seeing a lot of growth and stuff. So we're going from what was a fun-driven company to very much a data-driven company now. So a lot of the excitement right now kind of comes in the forms of numbers. Kind of have these key performance indicators or KPIs that you kind of tweak and work on, which has been a cool shift internally for the business, just to kind of have those goals to focus on. As far as the future, kind of working on some TikTok stuff and maybe some retail, so expanding our marketing reach. And then also, as far as the controversy in the early about flavors, we're working on a pediatric flavor. There's a whole nother realm, because right now we have 4 mint-based flavors, but now we're playing with things like, what concoction of strawberry, watermelon, cucumber, orange, kiwi. Yeah, I mean, and then there's every combination of those together. So, and they're flavors that we're not really, I don't brush with a strawberry toothpaste. I still like mint. So not only do we need to figure out what we like in a kid's toothpaste, but we also need to try it with some kids. So that's one exciting thing you'll see. We'll be trying a bunch of toothpaste with kids.
Stevie and Bobby's journey proves that passion, expertise, and the right team can turn an idea into something bigger. From balancing clinical careers to building Duo Toothpaste, they've shared valuable lessons today. But there's still so much more to learn. Listeners, it's time for the Career Countdown, a segment here on Heart to Hustle that gives us one last look at our guest's journey in a fresh, inspiring way. Through 5 rapid-fire questions, Bobby and Stevie will share the key inspirations, insights, and lessons that have shaped their careers. Let's dive in. For number 5, what are 5 words that describe your relationship as partners in life and in business?
Adventurous.
Devoted.
Fun.
Honest.
And patient.
Lovely. All right. What are 4 activities that you both enjoy doing together to unwind?
We like hanging out with our dog Jojo and our new son Casey.
Yeah. We have a travel trailer that we made during COVID. So we like traveling around the country or just locally around Seattle in the trailer.
We recently bought a houseboat. So we live on Lake Union in Seattle. Bobby's got like a little kind of rowboat that he threw. What'd you put on it?
A little outboard motor.
Yeah, a little motor on there, so we can just zip around.
It's like an
the
8-foot plastic boat, so it's not.
Yeah, but it's enough.
Vessel.
Like we can get on it and kind of zoom around, which we like doing.
And then there's just good old laying on the couch watching some good TV shows.
For number 3, what are 3 sacrifices or trade-offs you've made to balance your careers as dentists and as entrepreneurs?
Time. Bobby spent an incredible amount of time just kind of to get the degrees to practice.
And I spent a lot of that time on Duo. And also money. I mean, all the founders put up a lot of money to start in Duo, and then time away from clinical work. Maybe less money in our pocket now, but that's an okay trade-off. That's part of it. And then the last one is just focus. It's kind of a different skill set now to focus both intently on a clinical career. Stevie's running her own dental practice, and then also focusing on Duo. So it's working on that skill set.
So for number 2, if you could go back to school and study 2 completely different subjects unrelated to dentistry, what would they be and why?
I would probably study law in some form. I think as an alternative career path, it's something I would have enjoyed. I think I would have wanted to be a litigator, but that, there's a lot that goes into that. But I think just having the knowledge is super helpful for, things we're doing with Duo, things I do with my practice. It would be nice to have some sort of foundation of law knowledge.
I think mine, and I gave this answer when I was interviewing for residency 7 years ago, and I think it still applies, is marine biology for somewhat simple reasons. I like science and I like boats. I like the idea of doing science on a boat. It's also super applicable to the world of climate change and energy.
And then I think we both share engineering of some sort.
Yeah.
We would both probably be interested in.
All right. So for our final question, number 1, what is one piece of dental advice you wish everyone actually followed and didn't lie to their dentist about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have dental cleanings here, and I do think that's obviously super important. I don't want people to not do that. I think flossing really is the number one, and I'll get personal here. Me too. I wish I flossed more. I don't want patients to lie to me, but I get it. It's the teeth routine, teeth hygiene. It's a 2-step process. It's not just brushing. You got to floss.
I'm saying flossing is almost a cliche of an answer from a dentist, but there's a reason for that.
There's a reason.
True. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah, so cliche that I knew that's exactly what you were going to answer. So there you go.
Yeah, you can find Duo Toothpaste at Amazon.com or at our website, duotoothpaste.com, and give us a follow on Instagram or TikTok at Duo Toothpaste.
Dr. Bobby Johnson and Dr. Stevie Roberts took a bold leap, launching Duo while continuing their work as dentists. From formulating the perfect product to navigating the challenges of marketing a new way to brush, they've embraced every step of the entrepreneurial process with determination. But no great venture happens alone. Having the right supporters and creative collaborators has made all the difference in bringing Duo Toothpaste to life. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Heart to Hustle and leave a review. It really helps more people discover these inspiring stories. And if you want to follow along with Stevie and Bobby and Duo Toothpaste, check out the links in the show notes or head to duotoothpaste.com. Thanks for joining me today. I'm so glad you tuned in and can't wait to bring you more inspiring stories next time. Until then, thank you for listening.